Good evening. Hi Vishwesh. Nice to see you again. Am I audible? Can you please confirm in the chat box? I hope I am audible. So I'm starting the session. Okay, great. So this is going to be the last session for the affective computing course. So let's start this weekly live session number 12, wherein we will be covering this week's content, which is based on ethics in effective computing. So this is going to be more of a theoretical concept, and might be repetitive for you, but ethics are also an essential part of whenever you are developing something, whenever you are developing a software, or in case of these virtual assistants that we talk about, especially in effective computing. It becomes very important that we take care of the privacy, security, and other aspects which can be like compromised when we design such systems. So nobody wants their personal data to be public without their consent, right? So we need to take care of these things. And what are the other ethics, and what do you need to take care of while designing the system? This is all about the ethics in effective computing. So let's start again. This session is also going to be the problem solving and discussion type. So first question is, when sending emotional state data to a cloud based system, what safety mechanism is typically employed to maintain user privacy? Two factor authentication, end to end encryption, IP whitelisting, data obfuscation. So, um, whenever this is like emotional state data, but in case of any kind of sensitive data, it might be a medical data, it can be any kind of data. So we can use encryption techniques, right? So let's talk about what is end-to-end encryption. um, we want that while the data is being transmitted from one end, from sender to receiver, it meanwhile it should be encrypted. Encryption का मतलब है to make it, to change it in certain way that it is not easily interpretable. ठीक है? So we want to go for encryption, and since this kind of data which is emotional, which is now when we talk about emotional data, it can be a facial image, it can be a video, okay, it can be your heart rate data, it can be any of your like EEG data, your brain signals. Medical data is usually very very sensitive in terms of we don't want to leak the data. Okay, even in if you work in the medical imaging or medical analysis domain, which is AI in healthcare na, it is very difficult to obtain the data sets because you don't want to disclose the information, and these domains you cannot even fabricate the data. मतलब आप आपको you want real data, real patients का, but you cannot disclose the details. Same here. ठीक है? So why end-to-end encryption? Because when data is encrypted on the sender's device, and it can only be decrypted at the intended recipient. So basically, in between, if you even uh, trace the data, you won't be able to understand what is there. So there is some kind of encryption mechanism. And even the service provider, like if you're using a network, or like Jio, or कोई भी सर्विस प्रोवाइडर है, एयरटेल, they cannot, they don't know what is being transmitted. So even like your WhatsApp chats are encrypted, everything is encrypted right now. ठीक है? Even Telegram and so on. So this is the industry standard for secure data transmission, especially for sensitive information like health or emotional state data. So other options, we had two factor authentication. So let's see what exactly that means. So two factor authentication, whenever you do Gmail login, सो जीमेल लॉगिन करते हैं ना, सो देयर इज़ फर्स्टली यू एंटर द पासवर्ड, तो 2 steps आर देयर just to confirm. So it might be like one might be the password, and the second step might be confirmation, like yes it's me. It's always there na when you have logged in from a different device. So this is another confirmation हो सकता है, या फिर it can be some kind of OTP or something. So it is 2 factor, मतलब 2 stage. ठीक है. So it's about the login security, मतलब but it is not concerned with what you are transmitting. It is concerned with आपका login credentials. ठीक है. So only authorized users like my Gmail, it shouldn't be the case कि किसी को मेरा password पता चल गया, they will be able to log in. They need my permission from my, let's say there is an extra layer of protection from the this unauthorized access. Then second point is this IP whitelisting. So blacklisting and whitelisting. Blacklisting का meaning है you stop certain IP addresses, you block them from accessing the data. ठीक है. So let's say you want to block कि मेरे इंस्टीट्यूट से बाहर का there shouldn't be any person who cannot, मतलब they shouldn't be able to access my server. ठीक है. So I block their IP addresses which are outside my organization. ठीक है. And whitelisting is the exact opposite. You are just giving the permission to a certain IP addresses, certain approved IP addresses, and limited access is there for system. So this is also again for the access control. It is not for encryption of the data. ठीक है. Then data obfuscation, that means कि you make certain changes in the data. maybe जैसे एग्जाम्पल बोल सकते हैं कि you let's say ये था तो आप बीच में ऐसा कर दिया 7 8, तो you just maybe missing bits or something, या फिर you twisted the data somehow, आपने कुछ alphabets change कर दी इधर उधर, so that it makes it less interpretable. ठीक है. Less understandable by altering it slightly, but it is not the case that it's not encryption and it is very easy to crack. So it is used usually for stored data masking and not transmission. So transmission के लिए we use end-to-end encryption. Use case might be like we have a smartwatch and it detects a possible stress level, so sends the information to a cloud. Let's say your Apple Watch is there and then it is sending to the server, so then it might analyze and send you the signal back. So you don't want ki intermediate raste mein there shouldn't be any other person who can access my data. So that is where this encryption part comes into picture. So the correct answer would be end-to-end encryption. Okay, from an ethics perspective, what is a significant concern regarding affect sensing apps in relation to emotional dependency? So the keyword here is emotional dependency. So is it user engagement, privacy intrusion, emotional manipulation, or user addiction? So I think last week we discussed about these problems that we face. Different concerns are all there, but in case of emotional dependency, so which one fits the best? User engagement is not a concern. User engagement is something that you want to achieve. You want to design good and efficient systems which can keep the user engaged. So you aim for high user engagement. Second is privacy intrusion. Privacy intrusion is there, emotional manipulation is there, and user addiction. Now let's see which one fits the best related to emotional dependency. So effect sensing apps होती क्या हैं? We know that they might capture our facial expressions, voice tone, text inputs वगैरह वगैरह, and they can be used in different domains, right? And there are some ethical issues. First is again user engagement is not an ethical issue. So it isn't a problem unless it is being achieved through a like ethical manner or without the dependency creation. ठीक है. Engagement you want that let's say you want कि the person should be using my application all the time. So it shouldn't be the case that you do some unethical practice कि हम I'm giving that person money कि हाँ you spend some more time and I will give you 5 rupees per hour to just use my app ऐसा वाला. So maybe it's you आप लालच दे रहे हो सामने वाले को, जैसा भी unethical practices which is not allowed, right? So you cannot do that. Otherwise, other than that, user engagement is not a problem. Second is privacy intrusion. So it involves that the unauthorized or unethical access to a user's private emotional data. Let's say emotion, my voice is there. I am just, let's say I am telling my virtual agent about something that is bothering me, right? So it is very personal, it is very sensitive information. It shouldn't be disclosed. Like my friend should not be able to know or access that information. So it is a real ethical concern, but it's more of a data ethics issue. Like privacy is the data preservation from the external entity, it's not about the emotional dependency. Okay. um, so if an app records your emotional responses without your consent, let's say Alexa is there and it is recording my voice for the whole day and I don't know about that, then it is a privacy issue, but it is not a necessarily a emotional dependency. Emotional dependency में क्या आता है? User addiction. Like dependency means you are depending on that app or the virtual avatar or a robot. So you become overly dependent or addicted, addiction to the emotional interaction or feedback from the app. Let's say you you are interacting with an interface in with a robo, and you now you are like, for every decision you are making you just want, like, let's say we are I code, so I face any error, I just give the error to chat gpt, and without chat gpt it feels like I cannot code anymore. So I have developed a habit of so using chat gpt. But here same goes for the virtual assistant. If I need some moral support, if I need something like emotionally, I want to vent out, or I will look for that agent ki bhai wo robot kahan pe hai, I want to talk to you, and it is not even a real person. So there is a dependency which is not encouraged. So, as a virtual assistant which always responds in comforting ways can make people emotionally dependent. Okay? So this is a case of addiction, and it can lead to reduced real world social interaction. So this can be a concern. Okay? Then emotional manipulation, dependency के साथ साथ like manipulation is also there. Intentional influence, that means you want to say कि I'm not feeling good, and then the agent recommends you कि हाँ you should buy this product, it is very nice, या फिर buy ice cream from this place. So it is giving you some kind of, there is a bias or there is a business tie up at the back end. That is why you're pushing the advertisement of that product through the virtual agent, and we don't even know that. So it is manipulating you emotionally. Let's say I say कि I don't like my setup here, so then it starts recommending me to make your room more colorful, you should buy furniture from this shop, etc etc. So this is emotional manipulation with business intent. Okay? So it is ethically problematic, and again it is not, it is like encouraging you to engage longer with it, या बोल रहा है कि हाँ मेरी ऐप ज़्यादा यूज़ करो. It is not for your help but to drive profit or data collection. So that is manipulation. So I think the correct answer will be user addiction. Manipulation can also be there actually, but I think the better answer would be user addiction. Then accelerometer signals have higher privacy invasiveness intensity as compared to GPS signals. तो accelerometer हमारे phones में there is, or maybe in your smart watches there is a sensor which actually captures the acceleration of your like activity. If you're running or if you're standing still, you're lying, um, it captures your acceleration. ठीक है? So when we talk about this privacy intrusion, yeah, invasiveness means that how problematic that data collection can be by that sensor. Because let's say I talk about camera, so camera sensor is capturing my face, my identity is being revealed. So what kind of data that sensor is taking and how it is taking, it determines how privacy intrusive it can be, invasive it can be. Okay. So this is the comparison between accelerometer and GPS signal. So GPS, you know, it is the exact location of where your coordinates are, right? So मेरे घर का there is some location and I can latitude, longitude, or on Google Maps I can pinpoint um, the location. But in accelerometer it's not the case. Accelerometer is just, it can capture certain habits. So let's see कैसे. It tracks the motion. So tracks the motion or orientation of a device, such as steps, tilts, phone is moving or still. ठीक है. GPS signals, whereas on the other hand GPS signals, they provide precise location data. It will tell that okay, currently Akanksha is present in this sector. ठीक है. And where a person is or has been, even my past data. ठीक है. It reveals more sensitive and personal information such as home and work location. If you observe my GPS data, then you might see that okay, this person this person starts at from this point, and then she travels and ends at this point. So there is a probability that this place might be my work or my home place. So we can figure out कि वो person, where the person lives or where the person works. ठीक है. Or other, like where are my favorite spots to go, like let's say I go for walk to my favorite place, and then somebody can track the data and know my exact location and even anticipate कि हाँ भाई रोज there is a pattern that 5:30 p.m. she comes for a walk apparently. So they, any stalker or any unauthorized person can come and they can track it. And since it is rich in context and it is identifiable nature, the GPS data is highly invasive, more privacy invasive than the accelerometer. So accelerometer is just for the step counting. Even it is not even telling कि it is my data, or even I'm running or sitting, does not reveal anything about my location. ठीक है. So accelerometer is lesser privacy invasive than the GPS. ठीक है. Okay. Achieving foolproof anonymization is impossible because all information can be classified as personal when correlated with sufficient other relevant data. This is very true because anonymization का मतलब है to remove the identity. ठीक है. Let's say I had this data that my home address and let's say my salary. Okay, my salary is there, then it is the gender, and then so on. So there is my name. So name, address. ठीक है. तो यहाँ पे आ गया फीमेल, lives in let's say Chandigarh, and then salary is let's say 50K. Name is ABC, and then this is GEF. ठीक है. So this is male and so on. Now you want to anonymize, you don't want to reveal के कौन सा person की बात हो रही है, कौन से person की बात हो रही है. तो let's say I just remove this. ठीक है. मैंने इसको हटा दिया. But now you don't know कि which person is earning 50K. But still, let's say there is another data set in your institution where you have this pin code and your name. ठीक है. नेम एड्रेस वाला है. बट देन यू कैन सी दैट चंडीगढ़ का लेट्स से पिन कोड इज़ 134 समथिंग समथिंग, एंड हियर ऑल्सो द पर्सन इज़ लिविंग इन चंडीगढ़, एंड then the gender is also there. So if you like use two tables, you can reveal the identity of that person. I can easily guess that the person belongs to Chandigarh, and around if it is 50K, then the role might be सीनियर मैनेजर और समथिंग. ठीक है. और यहाँ पे नेम विल ऑल्सो बी देयर, ABC पर्सन. तो आई कैन एटलीस्ट नैरो डाउन टू अ लिस्ट ऑफ मे बी 2 to 3 people, or even exact person I can know. This is how it is not possible to, like, it is very difficult, I would say, to achieve this foolproof anonymization. ठीक है, usually it is not. So it is considered impossible because even when this data is anonymized, so individuals can be still be re-identified by cross-referencing other datasets. So correlating datasets, let's say zip code हो गया, gender हो गया, birth date हो गया, can be cross-matched with public records to re-identify the individuals. Let's say in US, the researchers were able to identify almost 87% of citizens from just their zip code, gender, and birth date. So even the dataset had no names, because you can guess the location, then the gender, and so on, the exact location वगैरह. So it is revealing. And big data effect means, again, I have so many data sets. Big data means a lot of data, and nowadays we have a lot of data about people, online, offline, whatever. But then more data sets exist, then it is much easier to cross reference. Let's say I shop on Amazon, so Amazon say my data can be taken, and my shopping pattern, let's say my address would be the same. Let's say I'm shopping on now Flipkart, so Flipkart can, even if I don't mention my name, you can say that okay, this person might be having an account at Amazon. So you can check the records, Amazon ka data will reveal my name even if I have not provided to Flipkart. So this is an example. So even like strong privacy measures, it is very very difficult, and they cannot guarantee that complete anonymity will be there. If enough auxiliary data is like not exactly directly you are providing, but indirectly there is a lot of access. So fitness app data, let's say someone jogging the same route every morning and it starts and ends at one location particularly, so it can lightly be reverse engineered to their home. Ki subha it starts from this point and again comes back to this point. So that means it can be their home. Same with the smartphone data. Accelerometer combined with app usage patterns, so it can reveal individual behavioral signatures. Let's say you are jogging, you have a habit of using your phone while traveling in a bus or so, so your acceleration will be high, and you're still using the app usage and so on, like music and so you can reveal that the person likes to listen to music while traveling. तो ट्रैवल वाला आप ज़्यादा उसको कर सकते हो, मतलब रिकमेंडेशन या कुछ ऐसा, इट कैन बी यूज्ड. So, achieving this is a true statement. It is not usually sufficient. Okay, in a labeling process, which of the following scenarios minimizes bias and ensures consensus among labelers? So, labelers are unaware of what they're supposed to label, labelers work independently without any guidance. Labelers are aware of what they're supposed to label, none of the above. So, first statement, actually, we want to tell that which will minimize the bias. So, minimization of bias means bias, we already discussed that how can bias affect our systems. So, when we talk about bias, we also talked about that it is a great you know there is a great factor which can help to reduce bias, and that is the quality of the training data. Now when you're talking about the training data, every deep learning model or machine learning model will only take the data that you provide. So quality of that model is determined by the quality of data that you are using to train it. Okay, so now the training data should be high quality, and how can we ensure that there are less bias? We can ensure that the labeling process is also accurate. Okay, so labeling, bias free labeling is very important because it ensures accuracy and fairness. And how can we do that? At least if you are able to tell the labeler that this is the clear instruction you can give, that let's say if you see apple then do this, if you see an orange then select this option. Okay, so you have given the instruction very clearly. या फिर if you look that the person is smiling, then the emotion will be happy. So if you have decided on that pattern, you just describe everything in detail to the labeler, and labeler should be aware of what exactly to do. ऐसा नहीं है उसको बोल दिया कि just label करो, but maintain uniformity and consistency, you need to take care of these this thing, so that you are already being very clear to the labeler. So it helps to minimize the bias, because if you're giving the clear instructions, then the labeler will follow the instructions. If you're not going to give the instructions, then I will do whatever I like, so it will be more personal to me, and it will introduce more bias in the system. Also, if all the different labelers are able to understand, it is highly probable that the interlabeler agreement will be high. Interlabeler labeler agreement का मतलब है कि let's say there is a picture, and there are three labelers. So I am saying that the picture depicts happy emotion, second person is saying sad, and third person is also saying happy. So that means my and the third labeler's interlabeler agreement is higher than my and the second labelers, mine and second labelers. So basically, jitna your outputs will be similar or your labels are coming out similar, you have high agreement. ठीक है. And how can it be achieved? Because we want to ultimately achieve the same label, but it should be, मतलब people अपनी मर्जी से लेबल कर रहे हैं, बट देन दे ऑल्सो नीड, वी ऑल्सो रिक्वायर दैट द लेबल शुड बी यूनिफॉर्म एज मच एज पॉसिबल. So again, we want to inform them that these are the guidelines you have to follow, and it increases the chances of, it promotes the interlabeler agreement. So awareness is one very important part. Labelers understand the goal and categories कि है क्या क्या, मतलब करना क्या है exactly. Then consensus, disagreements, let's say there are resolved. Let's say 1 2 3, three labelers are there, so one says happy, two says sad, and third says happy. So how can you resolve this conflict? Number one, you can either use some kind of voting mechanism कि odd number ले लो, take the majority voting, and then it's done. Otherwise, you can have discussions with the other labelers. So you can say that please discuss among yourself and then come to a conclusion which will be assigned as the final label. So it can be done. Then bias reduction. So guidelines or training sessions are often used to reduce subjective influence. Imagine you're labeling emotion in speech sample. So one person thinks that the tone is angry, other says excited. Okay, but both are like high arousal, we know, but the valence value is different. So how are you going to take the decision if no one is agreed? There's no agreed definition or consensus mechanism. This inconsistency will confuse the model, because model entirely depends on the data labels. If 5 people label an image of a smiling person, so let's say two say it's happy, one says content, and two say it's neutral. So how are you going to resolve? So with training and consensus up, you might be able to achieve uh, a final label in which out of 5, 4 people are saying कि ठीक है, we think it is a happy state. So it improves the data quality because there is higher confidence. ठीक है. So C option will be the correct one, where labelers are aware of what they're supposed to label, and there is consensus among them in with efforts to avoid bias. Okay, when designing the test case, testers' prior training and experiences can affect their feedback and introduce biases into the system. So biases का example हम ये ले सकते हैं that let's say घर पे when your mom is preparing some kind of dish which once you had in your childhood and you did not like it, but then your mom says कि प्लीज़ भाई खा के देख लो इस बार अच्छी बनी है वगैरह, बट यू ऑलरेडी हैव डिसाइडेड इन योर हेड दैट मुझे ये चीज़ पसंद नहीं है. So this is a bias in your head, but now when you actually taste it for once again, maybe you will like it. ठीक है. Just a very general example in the case of this testing or so you have a preconceived notion about something. Okay, let's say this brand does not make good quality products, but then maybe the case that the brand is actually producing some, improving the quality, and it is actually doing very good. So in the case of this testing, whenever you have a product, okay, and what is the task of testers? Testers want to find out as many bad things like about the product as possible, because ultimately the company wants to uh, you know correct those bad things. Okay. So if the, like, the statement is, the question is that, does the tester's prior training and experience affect the testing process? Does it introduce any kind of bias? Which is very true, because when designing and executing these test cases, especially in systems that involve like subjective interpretation, like emotion recognition or user experience, okay, so testers prior training, जो let's say one person is experienced in facial emotion recognition, so it he might not be the best person to work with the voice modality or so. And even experiences, like let's say one person is working in this domain for so long now, so it is, he is very experienced, and they can, how is this, these two factors going to impact the system's output or the testers testing process? So it depends, it determines how they interpret the system's output. Let's say a tester with a psychology background might perceive emotional responses differently than a computer scientist, because as CS people, we don't know the depth of the emotion. We just are very, like, in layman language, whatever you are using, whatever we see around us, we see happy, sad, although we all humans have the basic sense, but then if you go by the definitions or the psychological aspects, we are not fluent in that. So my view will be different from a person with a psychology background. When what they pay attention to, experienced testers may focus on known problem areas. So some person who has been in the testing domain since very long, and they, let's say they observe that frequently this is the, this is the area where people usually lack, where systems usually lack, so the tendency of checking that region only will be very high. However, I just recently joined as a tester, so मेरे दिमाग में there is no predefined rules, or so I will openly explore every, like, possibility ki what can go wrong with this. So I will be more open to discussion, open to finding out problems in different areas, rather than just confining myself to a particular domain. It can be intentional, it can be unintentional also. So it ignores new or emerging issues. वो बोलते हैं कि नहीं नहीं, this is always right, but this is the problematic area, so I'm going to focus on this only. Also, it can also impact their tolerance to errors or anomalies. So someone who has worked with many buggy systems, so एक person है who has already dealt with so many systems with bugs that it doesn't affect, वो बोलता है कि ना this is good enough although it has so many bugs. But let's say I am a new joinee and I want कि oh there are even 2 bugs na, this is too much for me. So usually people with more experience with the buggy systems will be more lenient than someone who is new to testing. So shuru mein we tend to be very particular about a lot of things. So how does this introduce bias? One can be confirmation bias. That means आपके preconceived notions can impact it. Then anchoring bias. The judgment can be influenced by initial expressions की initial impressions कि हाँ you just looked at the, let's say the robot is not looking that good, so you say oh I don't like it, मतलब it is not as good looking, so uh, it might not be working good as well. Then expert bias, so overconfidence in their own interpretation. So one person who has been working in this domain as a tester, they might be very overconfident ki this product is going to be good, and we don't need any further testing, we don't need to explore further, because you are just very overconfident and you are just overlooking on a lot of things. Then imagine a virtual assistant which is being tested for empathy. A tester with experience in chatbot development might rate it favorably based on technical fluency. कितना वो technically strong है, but then trained in counseling सो माइट जज कि वो कितना अच्छा हार्श और कितनी लैंग्वेज इट इज़ लैकिंग वार्मथ और अप्रोप्रिएट अफेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सेज. सो मोर कंसर्न अबाउट different aspects of the same system. So CS people might be more concerned ki how it it is performing, how what is the latency and so on, ठीक है. And designing people will be more concerned with how the user experience will be, how the user interface is be going to be. And then the person with the actually like the psychology background, he might think that, oh, this is how well it is taking care of the empathy, which is actually the motive here. So this is true. Okay. Why is it important for designers to provide clear documentation and contracts regarding app functionalities and data handling? To maximize user interaction with the app, to increase user dependency on the app, to ensure users understand data recording methods and access right, to limit user access to app features. So this is definitely wrong. Okay? To maximize user interaction, it is a side effect, but we cannot say the motive is that. So let's see. Firstly, how important is the documentation? It is very very important. Whenever you buy something new, or you have always have that small cookbook or so, which helps you to know what exactly are the features, how can you use that product. And especially when something is involving emotion recognition, affective computing, data driven personalization. So data driven personalization का मतलब है it will collect your data. So collecting the data and adapting to specifically for you, like it is more like a customization. So customization, how is customization actually used or implemented? Because for me it will be different, right? For you it will be different. So customization means that it is recording your data, then analyzing ki, okay, these are the personal preferences which are associated with akanksha. So then every time it will show something for me, maybe some it will respond in a certain manner which will be in accordance with how, like what kind of a person I am and so on, like I have emotional uh, my emotional quotient and everything. So data documentation is very important because it tells how to interact with the product or the agent, what data is being collected. Because here we are collecting data, so like as a consumer, I do have all the right to know, to understand how the data is being collected, what data is actually being recorded, why, what is the reason. It shouldn't be the case कि you are a chat bot, you have nothing to do with my, let's say, facial video, like how am I using, but you are still recording that data, unnecessary data. There is a possibility that since it is unnecessary, it might be misused or exploited, it can be sold, my data can be sold, so which I do not want. Then who can access it? Like you are providing your consent to record the data, record your voice, but then who is the on the other side, who is the end user, or who is handling the data? Is it the big company, or is it a person, or who are you giving permission to access the data? Then how long the data is stored and how it is protected? Because we just discussed about the encryption, the masking, etc. So many aspects we need privacy and security. So why do we actually need the documentation? Because it helps us to build user trust and consent. There are some ethical and legal compliances also we need to take care of. Then user autonomy. Then because user ultimately is the end user, right? So it shouldn't be the case that they don't even understand how to use the product. So they should have the control. Reducing misinformation, because if it is nothing is written, then you are going to assume something. So assumptions are always not in your favor. So it reduces misinformation. Let's say some your favorite noodles, so it is not mentioning that what is the ingredient. Now if it is not mentioning, then people might spread some kind of misinformation about that product ki हाँ it इसमें some kind of non-vegetarian component is added or so. So it is not providing clarity, but it is your fault because you are not mentioning the ingredients on your product. So, in case of this affective system, a mindfulness app, which is using microphone input to detect stress levels, may clearly explain that it listens in short intervals. ठीक है, it stores audio locally and it is not sent to our servers. Uses only emotional tone and not content. So it just preserves that कि what is the like my valence or arousal value from the speech, and it is not storing my audio recording as is. And it offers the option to opt out कि जब मर्जी you can opt out of it. So other options include to maximize user interaction. It is more about UX and UI design, not data transparency. Then to increase user dependency, no, it is actually for the user engagement, not dependency. Then to limit user, no, it is actually to empower them. Okay. So which of the following are open issues in affective computing? So open issues are those issues which we do not have the solution for. कि अभी तक we are not able to figure out how will we be like we handling it, and how what is the solution. So first point is inheritance of deception in affective computing, and second is should destructive machines be given emotional capabilities. Destructive machines, uh, let's say there is a crane, ठीक है, or there is a JCB or something, and you in cartoons we have seen so many times, let's say the Bob the Builder had so many machines and everything, so they had emotions. One person, one machine can have some kind of emotional aspect and they might get angry, and it shouldn't be the case that the robot or the machine should just destroy anything. ठीक है. So both options are correct. So just let's read this out. First option says that inheritance of deception. Deception is when deception literally means to किसी को धोखा देना, ठीक है. And it may this emotional AI systems may appear to care or simulate empathy, but they do not truly feel anything. It is all rule based, ठीक है. It is just all programmed, and this simulation can be deceptive. Let's say this robo named Sophia. So Sophia is a more like a human. She looks like a human being, ठीक है. And if we provide this emotional capabilities to Sophia, somehow when it is able to understand you, and you will feel like it is a actually a human being, real human being, which is not the case. In our scenario, normal scenario, it might not be the deception as well, but in some cases it might lead to the other person thinking that this robot is more like a human. So it actually leads to some kind of attachments or trust the system, which they shouldn't. They feel like कि I'll went out to this robot and I will feel good as a friend. You start feeling that the robot is your friend, but the robot is not your friend because it is not having any feelings. It's all pre-programmed. So this comes under the umbrella term of deception. Uh, should we allow the systems to mimic human emotions so convincingly that the people are deceived into believing the machine is empathetic? So this is an open question. Second point is should destructive machines be given emotional capabilities? It means that autonomous weapons or robots with emotional processing are there. So adding these capabilities has the pros. Of course, with the whole course was about developing those kind of agents, But it can also be related to manipulation or even worsen condition that justify harmful actions, like under the guise of emotional reasoning. Ki, why did you do that? Let's say the robot hit a person. So how can you justify a robot hitting a person? Because the elder person was shouting at the robot, so the robot got angry and hit the person. It shouldn't be tolerated and it shouldn't be the case. So how should we control, how well should we program these robots or virtual agents to mimic the human behavior? Is it ethical or is it safe to give machines with potential to harm people and make emotion based decisions? This is also an open question, so both of the options are correct. Next question. Before deploying emotion enabled targeting advertisements, it is essential to study the effects from both users' perspective and the advertiser's perspective. So, emotional enabled targeting advertisements का मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब हुआ कि it is customization, let's say customization of the content based on your um, emotional experiences with the agent, your past emotional. ठीक है, तो customization of the content, let's say I am showing you some targeted advertisements and I feel like you are becoming more happy, or even whatever my targeted emotion is, तो वो successful हो रहा है. So then I is it a good thing? Like, should we deploy these kind of advertisements, targeted advertisements? So ads that adjust the content based on the emotional state of the users. It requires thorough evaluation from multiple viewpoints to ensure the ethical, effective, and fair implementation. In this module, we are just discussing about the ethical concepts. So, what can be the potential harmful effects? Privacy concerns can be there. Um, if you are constantly recording my video just to show that कि हाँ हमारा personalized advertisement we are showing you, is it worth recording my personal information? Typically it can record my facial expressions, voice tone, physiological signals, whatever you consent to share. um, Emotional manipulation is there, ठीक है, and user autonomy is also impacted. So let's say the system is showing me whatever it feels like कि हाँ भाई I should show this to this person, to person A let me show this, person B let me show other thing. I have lost control over what I want to watch. The system is deciding for me that this should be displayed on my screen, whereas I wanted to watch something else. Let's say some years from now there's some movie streaming app and it starts to tell me that no, today you should watch this movie, but I want to watch another movie. But just on the basis of ki how I am feeling today, the system is telling me ki you should go for this. ठीक है, so this is the loss of user autonomy. From the advertiser's perspective, key what can be the good points and the bad points. So first is effectiveness of ad campaigns, understanding the emotions or the sentiments that ad is generating. It can actually help them with their business decisions. Okay. Second is brand trust and image. If the user is feeling manipulated, it may damage trust, so leading to backlash as well. So both sides of the coin, two sides of the coin. It's not like it always works in favor. It can also tarnish the image of your brand if it is not done correctly. Again, how if you are not managing the data properly and so on. Regulatory risks are also there. Some authorities are there, you need to comply to their some rules and regulations, so that you don't offend anyone, you don't pose any kind of risks, and you are able to uh, avoid any kind of discrepancies. ठीक है? So whenever we are working with these kind of systems, we want to study both perspectives. It helps to create fair, respectful systems. दोनों का it should be a win-win situation. Then it should be avoiding any ethical pitfalls, and then maximize effectiveness without violating the trust. ठीक है? So definitely these systems are helpful, but then we need to take care that uh, shouldn't be the data should not be exploited. So this is true. Okay, which of the following is in the correct order of the privacy invasiveness? So privacy invasiveness, we've already discussed how much it is um, able to reveal information about you. ठीक है? So accelerometer we have already discussed. Wi-Fi, microphone. Let's discuss these. So out of these, the accelerometer, Wi-Fi, and this microphone, first and the most invasive is microphone, because if you just record my voice and you are like, it can capture the spoken content, private conversations, background sounds, and even emotion in voices. So matlab, I can listen to someone's voice and I can identify the person कि हाँ भाई, this sounds like person A or my friend. ठीक है? इसमें the risks are identity theft, eavesdropping. I don't want people to know what is happening, uh, my medical condition, my health condition, whatever, my emotional state. So emotional profiling and sensitive personal data exposure, which is not wanted. Example is voice assistants or apps listening without consent. So the Siri or Alexa can, uh, how do they even understand? Like, this is what we think sometimes, that if I just call Siri, that means it gets activated, but that means it is constantly listening to what I'm saying, right? So second is Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not that invasive. It cannot reveal much information about the person, but yes, it is. Why is it medium invasive? Because it can track your location. It can track device location. Let's say you go to some place, okay, and someone is tracking your Wi-Fi, this information. So by the name of the Wi-Fi or the IP address, and so you can figure out कि then your phone was last connected at this location, because Wi-Fi actually works in the proximity. So that means you were there at that place at that timestamp, right? So Wi-Fi is able to reveal your past locations or your present locations. कि if some, let's say, police is tracking your phone, so your phone will be, if it is connected to some network, it can be traced. The present location or the past location can be traced. So it can infer social interaction and movement patterns. Let's say I observe your Wi-Fi data. Every morning it starts with some place, and then every since the whole day, like, it is connected to some other network, and then in the evening it connects back to your some the earlier network. So that means it is a pattern that you leave your home at this time, you spend whole day at your office, and then I can also obtain the information about your office, and then you come back. So not that revealing as microphone is actually capturing my whole voice, so you can just listen and know everything. ठीक है? So yeah, this is a Wi-Fi, which is medium invasive, and then comes the accelerometer. We have already discussed it is not that invasive. GPS is again very invasive, because GPS tells the exact location, but accelerometer just tells whether you are running or standing. It's more like concerned with the human activity detection. ठीक है? So it's not usually, it cannot reveal speech or specific content, or even just it can just reveal the motion and orientation. ठीक है? So fitness tracking or human activity detection, this is the major this use case. And correct order of their privacy invasiveness, so firstly is microphone with the highest invasiveness, then medium, then low. ठीक है? तो D is the correct answer. Same. Which of the following sensing strategies is written correctly in order of their privacy invasiveness? So let's just, there are so many in different senses. Let's just discuss one by one. We already know about accelerometer, so it is not that revealing, not that invasive. Then comes the GPS. We know that it can reveal your latitude and longitude, so directly reveals the user's location. Okay, it can be sensitive and potentially compromise privacy. And then comes Wi-Fi is might not be as precise as GPS, but it can also reveal the user's location. ठीक है, in urban areas where Wi-Fi networks are densely distributed, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे होते हैं, this information again can infringe on privacy. ठीक है. Comes the next is camera. So camera is the most invasive thing because you're actually recording the faces, surroundings and activities कि आप कहाँ पे हो, क्या कर रहे हो, everything is being recorded, and it is the, like, can compromise privacy and security significantly. And photos and videos इसमें included, and it is extremely invasive. ठीक है. Then comes Bluetooth. Bluetooth is actually kind of similar to, you can say, Wi-Fi. It can reveal nearby devices and potentially the user's habits or social interaction. So आपका Bluetooth is on, then you can track कि which devices are in the vicinity, और उसके नाम से या फिर somehow you can track that, okay, this person is usually around these four phones. Or let's say you tend to meet a person every single day, so now your Bluetooth is on, and it can also reveal that the other person's phone is also like ready to pair, and devices which are available nearby, so it can reveal the pattern that you meet that same person again and again. Okay, so it is moderately invasive, similar to Wi-Fi, but it is again short range communication, and it is not that accurate कि हाँ भाई latitude and longitude ही मिल गया. It's not like that. Screen touch is not invasive in the sense that it can reveal some usage patterns. Ki let's say screen touch means I have a habit of using social media a lot of times, so throughout the day I'm just scrolling, or even let's say I'm a shopping addict, so I'm using Myntra the whole day, so I'm just scrolling every day, scrolling. So this apps can sense that the person is actually scrolling through the shopping app for the whole time. That means it's good to show the related ads or so. ठीक है, तो ऐसे they can find out some patterns. It just reflects device interaction rather than personal information. It doesn't reveal much ki where am I right now, yeah, any kind of sensitive information, what is my emotion, what is my um, stress level right now. So typically it's not that indicative, so less invasive. Then comes gyroscope or gyroscope, I don't know, so let's call it gyroscope. So it measures the device's orientation and rotation, similar to accelerometer, but this is more of a ओरिएंटेशन. ठीक है, एंड रोटेशन. सो इट इज़ यूजुअली जैसे वो वी टिल्ट आर फोन, सो इट द स्क्रीन बिकम्स लाइक इन द लैंडस्केप मोड, एंड सिमिलरली इफ यू टिल्ट बैक, rotate it back, then it again comes back to the like portrait mode. So this is where this gyroscope comes into picture, and it is not invasive. It tracks device movement and orientation. It is not revealing any kind of personal or sensitive information or any kind of location information. Calls are definitely more sensitive communication, and it can reveal personal information. Yeah, it can be about the content, it can be about the speaker, conversation topics, behavior patterns, and significantly infringe on privacy. So first option is accelerometer is greater than GPS. No. GPS, what would be the correct order? So GPS is the most invasive, then comes Wi-Fi, then comes accelerometer. Second is GPS, Bluetooth, screen touch. So yes, GPS is the most invasive, Bluetooth is moderately invasive, and then screen touch, this which is this correct option. Then Wi-Fi, gyroscope, and calls. So calls are the most invasive, then comes this Wi-Fi, then comes the gyroscope. Then the option is calls, battery, and camera. So camera is actually the most invasive, then the calls, and then battery usually does not indicate much about your personal information, and just can reveal some kind of device related patterns, you can say. Okay. Okay. Any information can be deemed personal if enough other pertinent information is added. So, as we discussed earlier, um, even if I just describe the gender, the date of birth, or some kind of trivial like zip code, I can guess the name of that person. Okay, how? Because maybe this information does not seem that much personal because there is no name associated with it. But if I take some other auxiliary information, या फिर some other uh, data set is there which kind of has the similar records, so if I mix them, if I use both, compare both sets of data, then I might be able to reveal certain patterns. So, is it harmless or is it difficult to manage? Personal information is subjective and context dependent. While certain pieces of information they might not seem personal on their own, they can become personally identifiable when combined with other relevant data. So this is often called as the mosaic effect. Mosaic effect means mosaic का मतलब होता है to put pieces together. So something like कि this is, so putting the puzzle pieces together, so it will form a painting, or it will form some kind of scenery put together. Okay, so it can reveal more information. So on its own the bits and pieces don't make sense, but when you combine, then it creates the mosaic effect, and it's seemingly uh, some harmless data points which can be pieced together to reveal sensitive or private information about an individual. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's consider a scenario when someone posts a photo on social media standing in front of their house, which is very, you don't feel like it's harmful, है ना. So the photo itself may not contain a house number या कुछ ऐसा नहीं हो सकता उसमें, but when it is combined with other pieces of data, which is let's say person's name, उसका होम टाउन, frequent locations, let's say one person is posting a lot of times this cafe. ठीक है, the person has a habit to go to this cafe, and this cafe, uh, ABC cafe, and it is very nearby, it's in the hometown because the person is staying at that city, in that city. So it is on social media, daily routines, every day the person is posting gym videos, that means the person is going to gym as well. So then you can start thinking, okay, in this, let's say in Delhi, this cafe is, person is visiting this cafe every day, this is the gym. You might find some kind of hints on the gym wall or so. So it is possible for someone to piece together a comprehensive profile for that individual, and it can also include their address, work schedule, favorite places to visit, and so more. And initially when the person just posted a picture, it seemed very harmless and innocent photo, which became of the, like became part of a larger mosaic of personal information that could potentially be used for malicious purposes, like somebody can stalk, or somebody can try to steal the identity of that person. Okay, so this poses overall privacy risk when combined with the relevant data points. So this statement is correct that any information can be harmful if it can be combined with some other information. Okay, what method from the list below can be used in neuromarketing research? So neuromarketing research क्या होती है? It is like marketing plus neuroscience. So basically, let's say you are a company and you want to design advertisements for your company. So you want that key advertisement should be very emotional so that people buy more stuff. Let's say you are a brand which is related to some kids uh, toys. ठीक है. So now kids toys are there and you want to present in certain way that parents get emotional while watching your ad, that it's very heart touching story, emotional story. um, and then of course the sales will go up. So they want to check that this advertisement is working, A is working or B is working, and which one should be broadcasted. So before broadcasting, because it is very costly, so usually what you can do is you can show it to different people, maybe 50 set of parents you can show, and then record their responses ki is it able to invoke those emotions which you intend to, or is it not working out. So this is the whole concept of neuromarketing. This is just one example, okay. So what you can now use to analyze, like, is it working or not. So different modalities can be used for this. First is, okay, now since it is neuromarketing, that means you are analyzing the neurological responses of your brain. So different methods will be there. Let's say brain imaging ho gaya, biometric measurements, everything, eye tracking. The goal is to uncover subconscious or implicit responses that the traditional marketing research methods may not capture effectively. So neural activity and physiological responses we can capture, and they seek to gain insights into consumers emotional reactions, attention levels, memory encoding and preferences. So it can provide valuable insights into customer preferences, ठीक है, कि which one did they like better and so there are some methods. First is the MRI. MRI is diffusion of water molecule in biological tissues and not commonly used in neuromarketing research. EGG, which is gastrography, not related with brain activity, it is related with the stomach, so not the correct answer. Then ECB is also extracellular recording and brain stimulation. It is not specifically associated with the neuromarketing studies. It can be used in neuroscience. But then fMRI is the neuromarketing. Usually it is used in that research. So this is functional magnetic resonance imaging, which is able to capture that what part of your brain is activated by watching what kind of content. So like something like this. So whenever you want to invoke certain emotion, and every emotion is associated with certain pattern in your brain, okay. So let's say if you are happy, then it might be possible that this region is being activated, yeah. If you are feeling sad, so maybe this region is more activated. So here you can see that this magnetic response resonance, sorry, MRI resonance imaging, it can be used to detect what kind of emotion is being invoked. So fMRI is the correct answer. Which of the following ethical factors should be taken into account when adopting AI? So data privacy, algorithmic fairness and biases, informed consent to data use. So of course we're talking about ethics and privacy, and I think all of these options seem correct. But let's see. So first is data privacy, which means that we want to protect the individual's personal information and sensitive data by which is collected by the affect sensing systems. It includes it ensuring that the data is collected and stored securely, ठीक है, collection and securely storage, फिर then processed transparently and used for only intended purposes. ऐसा नहीं है कि you have collected my data, now you are misusing the data or you are selling it to some third party. So measures as encryption, access controls, anonymization techniques should be employed to safeguard users' privacy. Then algorithmic fairness and biases. So it pertains to the ethical and unbiased treatment of individuals by AI systems. It shouldn't be the case that since the system is developed by like scientists in America, so it is not even working well for Indian people or African people. Just because their skin color is different or their accent is different, the agent is not able to interact. So this is called bias. Okay, so it can be biased training data can be responsible, algorithm can be biased, ठीक है, it might favor certain region people or certain gender, ठीक है, तो algorithms में भी bias आते हैं, और societal prejudice. So it we also want to ensure that and identify and mitigate these biases to prevent discrimination and or unfair treatment based on factors like race, gender, or age. Informed consent to data use, that means that the individuals should have a clear understanding of how their data will be collected, ठीक है, and like we are very clearly, like we are taking forms and everything, and we are just telling that ki this is how we are going to collect, this is the data being collected, this is how we are going to use it. Nobody has access except the form itself, वगैरह वगैरह. So many factors you need to tell, and this transparency actually empowers them to make more informed decisions about their privacy and data usage, ठीक है. So three, all of them are correct: the privacy, bias, and informed consent. So yeah. Next question is, which of the following is not a potential ethical consideration that need not to be addressed? Not a potential ethical. So emotional manipulation, privacy, emotional dependency, and none of the above. So emotional manipulation, again we have discussed it a lot of times now. We want to intentionally, like the agent tries to intentionally influence or manipulate users emotions for specific purposes such as marketing, political persuasion, behavioral modification. Ethical concerns arise when individuals' emotions are exploited or manipulated without the awareness or the consent. So, example is the platform then tailors users' news feeds to show them content that elicits strong emotional reactions, outrage, or excitement. So, it can give us biased content with the intention of increasing engagement and time spent on the platform. This manipulation can be harmful. Like it is not, I'm not asking, I have not given my consent for this, but it is yeah, like it is going to prioritize, um, in this case this bias was there and this manipulation was there, so it is prioritizing my this business over my well-being or my privacy, so which is not uh, required. Then comes privacy. We all know what privacy is. So let's say example is a wearable device such as heart rate and facial expression trackers. It collects continuous data throughout the day and then it is transmitted to a cloud server. Like Amazon has all of my recordings, my voice recordings and everything, which is not uh, required, which is not actually intended, unwanted. So it is a, there is a risk that anybody can access that emotional data or even my like video clips, my facial expressions, and it can actually be used to create some kind of uh, manipulation or identity theft or some deep fakes, or so many different possibilities are there. Then emotional dependency. Again, we've already discussed this. So chatbots, empathetic responses, and round the clock availability of offer immediate comfort to the person. Let's say there's some elder person and they're lonely and they want some companion. So companionship is offered using these affective or empathetic agents. Okay, so but then there is a risk of the user developing an unhealthy emotional dependency. But it is entirely dependent on the robot only, and what if the robot goes wrong and the person will feel like they have no friends because they stopped interacting with the actual human beings. So this leads to this unwanted dependency and excessive reliance on this chatbot for emotional validation or coping strategies. Let's say you get you get anxious and then you don't know what to do without the agent, without the chatbot, so it makes you dependent on that, and it actually distance you from the like friends, family, or other professionals. So it, all three are the ethical consideration they require. So none of the above is the correct answer. Users must express their opinions about the products through focus groups and surveys during beta testing, which might be hampered by problems like participant bias, recall bias, etc. So, what is exactly beta testing? Beta testing is a phase actually of software development or any product development where a pre release version of the product, known as the beta version, is made available to a select group of external users for testing in real world environments. So बीटा जैसे कई बार कोई सॉफ्टवेयर भी डाउनलोड करते हैं, so we have that beta version written on it. That means it is not actually the stable version yet, but it is something that is still in the testing phase, but उतना हो चुका है कि they actually want कि रियल वर्ल्ड में कैसे परफॉर्म करेगा. ठीक है, सम फीचर्स आर न्यू, सम लेट्स से इंस्टाग्राम, इट रिलीजेज अ बीटा फीचर. Some people will be able to experience that, for some people it's not available, so it is still in testing. Let's say users don't give good feedback for that feature, then it will be removed in the final version. So that is how it works. It gathers feedback, identifies any bugs or issues associated, and make improvements before the product is officially launched to the wider market. Okay? It is useful for, again, user feedback, validation, identifying usability issues, enhancing user engagement. So potential biases, which we talked, it can be recall bias or it can be participant bias. So now that you're making that software or that agent available to a certain group of people, now what exactly people are, like let's say आपने 10 लोगों को available करवाया, so who are those 10 people? All men or all Americans or all Indians? मतलब you did not take care that I should include more diversity in my sample group. So let's say um, there is some app you have developed for facial expression recognition, and then you test it on 10 American people. Okay, so now it is working very good, then you release it, but now it is not working well with Indian people. So now what will you do? Because earlier you did not check with the Indian people, you earlier checked with only American people. Okay, similarly, let's say you only take 10 people, and out of those 10 people 8 are men and 2 only females. So then you won't be able to like capture the idea whether females like this product or males like this product. So maybe the product is not that great for females. Okay, so but you have introduced that bias in that yourself, because in the study or the test group they are not representative of the broader population or for user base whom the product is intended. Let's say कोई toy है for some uh, for teenagers, and you're testing on the adults, so of course adults are not going to enjoy the product as much as the teenage people will. So you have to take some teenage people as the participants for that survey or experiment, so that it is actually giving you a view, or is it giving you, it is giving you actually a representative of the actual target audience. Okay, so suppose a company is testing a new mobile app designed for older adults to improve the digital literacy. Now if the beta testers are dominantly young adults who are tech savvy, so उनको पहले से ही आता है, and that the feedback may not be accurately उनके लिए, तो it is very easy, they will say oh it's a great app, but for elders it might be very difficult. So it leads to participant bias. Then comes the recall bias. So if in a when participants in a study inaccurately remember past events or experiences, leading to a skewed or unreliable feedback. So let's say memories are of course not permanent, so so many factors can influence the recollection of events, including the passage of time. अगर आप उनसे feedback you're taking after like 10 days कि how did you like the product, or they must have forgotten about the same. In a post beta testing survey, and participants are asked to recall specific issues that they encountered during the product usage. So they may struggle to accurately remember details, or may even unintentionally exaggerate or downplay. दोनों दोनों हो सकती है, मे बी पॉजिटिव में भी यू कैन से अ लॉट ऑफ अनइंटेंशनल थिंग्स, एंड नेगेटिव में भी. So leading to recall bias. For instance, a participant may forget minor usability issue, or even attribute some प्रॉब्लम्स दे फेस्ड टू द रॉन्ग फीचर. मतलब आप बोलोगे कि फीचर ए ख़राब था बट एक्चुअली में फीचर बी ख़राब था, तो यू आर एक्चुअली नॉट एबल टू रिमेंबर एग्जैक्टली कि इशू क्या था, और आप कुछ भी उनको मिक्स करके ही बता रहे हो. सो दिस इज़ रिकॉल बायस. ठीक है. एंड अदर टाइप्स ऑफ बायसेस कैन ऑल्सो बी देयर. ठीक है. Okay, next question is, it will be a good idea to enable affective skills in all kinds of machines. So, is it a good idea? Let's see. If you try to make every kind of machine intelligent, emotionally intelligent, it is going to have some kind of implement implications or some kind of effects on ethical implications will be there, social implications will be there. So let's read this out. What are the ethical concerns or ethical implications? So first is the privacy and consent. So it is going to be a major issue that machines will, like, it can collect sensitive emotional data without their consent. Emotional manipulation we've already discussed. Fairness and bias can be there. Transparency and accountability. Transparency means what exactly is happening within the system, how is it working. And accountability, very important. Something goes wrong and then you don't know what to, like, आप कुछ प्रोडक्ट खरीदते हो, then you, for customer support there is someone, it's written on the product. Now you buy a robot which is, you know, very emotionally intelligent, AI based वगैरह वगैरह सब कुछ बढ़िया है, but then it suddenly starts showing anger out of nowhere. But then the company says it's not our fault, it's just we don't take any responsibility for this. But who is responsible then? So accountability is very very important. So who is liable, who is going to be accountable for any concern? This is very important. Then societal implications. If you are going to make every machine intelligent, emotionally intelligent, then what will be the impact on relationships? It can influence human relationships and social dynamics by mediating this thing, and also it can alter the nature of human interaction and relationships. Then cultural and social norms can be there, like uh, maybe inclusivity, diversity, social cohesion, different impacts can be there. Then economic and labor market effects. If AI is everywhere, then it can have some economic implications. Some jobs might not be there, job displacement, or shifts in consumer behavior, changes in labor markets. ठीक है. And it can also lead to this persuasion tactics and so on. ठीक है. Then comes the regulatory and policy considerations. So policymakers and regulators must actually be like in compliance with this. uh, I mean, they should know what is going to happen if now new rules are needed, because they're the laws and the everything, they are not applicable to these agents. So we actually need new laws for protection, maybe from these digital agents, from AI is everywhere. So we also need some rules, regulations for this AI based systems. Then comes the practical implications. Like, it is not even possible to do so. It is not even possible to make every machine emotionally intelligent. So is it going to be reliable and accurate? I don't think so, because it is impossible to achieve the perfect accuracy and perfect reliability. Reliability still is achievable, but accuracy is not achievable, like perfection is not achievable. Integration and user experience. How, like, is it going to make simple things more complex? Because we don't even need an emotionally intelligent bottle. Why are you actually making a anything which is not even that useful? Okay, so it is just over complicating some simple processes. Then the technical challenges will be there. How are you going to design the systems? More resources will be required, data collection will be required, technical changes, real time decision makings, and so on. So systems need to be robust. So it is not a good idea actually to make every machine uh, emotionally intelligent or affective, having affective skills. Okay, which of the following sensing strategies is written wrongly in order of their privacy invasiveness? So microphone, Wi-Fi, accelerometer. Microphone is actually having the most invasiveness, then Wi-Fi, then accelerometer. This is correct. Then comes the GPS. GPS is also invasive. Bluetooth screen touch. This is also correct. Then Wi-Fi. Okay, no. In this case, the calls are the most invasive, then Wi-Fi, and then gyroscope, then calls and apps, because app can actually track your activity, ठीक है, and gyroscope is very harmless, ठीक है. So out of these, this third option seems to be the wrong one. Yes, ठीक है, तो ये होगा. Okay, clear documentation is very important to foster trust in effective app. It should documentation के क्या क्या uses होते हैं, it should explain how the app works and the interface, which is correct, ठीक है. Help users understand apps capabilities and data usage, which is also correct. And instruct the users to exhibit the limited supported emotions only, विच इज़ इनकरेक्ट. मतलब यू कैन नॉट रिस्ट्रिक्ट, आप यूज़र को नहीं बोल सकते हो कि सिंस माई ऐप ओनली आइडेंटिफाइज टू इमोशंस, देन यू ओनली हैव टू एक्सप्रेस टू इमोशंस. यू कैन नॉट से दैट योर ऐप इज़ नॉट केपेबल, दैट इज़ डिफरेंट इशू. सो लिमिटेड सपोर्टेड इमोशंस वाला यहाँ पे ये इट इज़ नॉट द राइट थिंग. बट how the app works and the interface, definitely you need to explain. It is for the user convenience. Also understand the app's capability and data usage. So app क्या क्या कर सकती है and the data usage, how the data will be collected, how the data will be used, where it will be stored, how it is going to be processed. So everything we need to tell, because if we mention everything in the documentation, it helps to foster trust, build trust on a brand. Why do we trust brands? मान लो आपको एक शर्ट खरीदनी है, तो why do you go for some branded product rather than buying from a local market? Because you know the quality, that it is written 100% cotton, then it is going to be 100% cotton. But it might be the case that someone non-branded, or so the quality issues might be there, the colors might not be that fast, it might bleed, so many possibilities, right? So brand is always about trust, ठीक है. So if you want to build a brand, and then it is very important to foster trust in your app. अगर app you are using, you are like releasing, and you want to build a customer base, then you have to build that trust, ठीक है. So in this case, both A and B will be the correct answer. So next question is, targeted advertising will enhance the user experience but with cost to user privacy vulnerability. So targeted advertisements, जैसे कि मैंने पहले भी explain किया, what exactly it means, that you are customizing the advertisements according to user preferences या फिर user responses, ठीक है. आपने ना एक ad दिखाई, ठीक है, मुझे, let's say मैं I'm very fond of shopping clothes, so you tend to send me more dresses की ads, so I will be very interested in buying that product, है ना. But then what you are doing is you are showing me targeted advertisement. That means one or the other way you are collecting my personal information, that what products I actually buy. या फिर if I am scrolling and then you are capturing my facial data, my video is being captured while scrolling, then I look at the product, then I do wow, then you see that I am amazed, ठीक है. Then you will start sending me those kind of dresses as like advertisements, ठीक है. This is called targeted advertising. For me it will be different based on my preferences, for you it can be different, ठीक है. आपको अलग product दिखाया जाएगा, मुझे अलग based on what I was searching या how my experience was, how my reaction was. This is the targeted advertising. बट वो बोलते हैं कि इट enhances the user experience definitely, because अगर I am more interested in buying a dress, then why would you show me some bag? ठीक है, it enhances my user experience, but at what cost? It actually recorded my video, and now if the video is not handled properly, that means it might lead to my privacy invasion. ठीक है, which is not which is very unwanted. ठीक है, so uh, yeah, rather than displaying the same advertisement to all the users, the targeted advertising aims to tailor ads to specific users based on their interest, demographics, online behavior, and so on. So, uh, okay, this is just ad delivery, ad targeting, and so on. Yeah, but it can actually, it's not written actually, but yeah, it can affect the privacy. ठीक है, you're ultimately capturing my data just to make it better for me, but my data should be handled very carefully. Next question is, what ethical consideration arises regarding the storage of emotional data? So, ensuring data encryption on the device, limiting access to the emotional state data by external entities, defining the duration of data storage and access rights, all of the above. So, if you read these options, first option is ensuring data encryption, which means your data is stored but it is not directly readable format. ठीक है, some kind of encryption algorithm is there. And the second is limiting access. If only Amazon is able to access my data, no other outside entity should be able to, no third party should also, like, it shouldn't be the case that they are also have the access, it is publicly available, it shouldn't be the case. It should have limited access for the intended people only. ठीक है, and defining the duration of data storage, कि मान लो योर डेटा इज़ जस्ट गोइंग टू बी स्टोर्ड फॉर 1 day. ठीक है, तो उसमें आई माइट नॉट फील वेरी बैड कि हाँ इट्स फाइन, द डेटा विल बी डिलीटेड आफ्टर 1 day. ठीक है, सो लाइक व्हाट इज़ द ड्यूरेशन ऑफ डेटा स्टोरेज एंड एक्सेस किसके पास है उस चीज़ का. लेट्स से माई CCTV फुटेज इज़ देयर एंड आई डोंट वांट कि CCTV फुटेज में बहुत टाइम तक रखी जाए. ठीक है, इट इज़ मोर लाइक अ प्राइवेसी इन्वेजन. बट देन if I make sure that the CCTV footage is just for security purpose and we store it only for 1 day, उसके बाद it gets deleted, then it's fine, then I will feel better. So basically all of the above, it feels important. So I think I've read this already. So yeah, data encryption is necessary. Encrypting this demonstrates the commitment to protecting user privacy and confidentiality. It helps. Okay, this provides prevents unauthorized access and exploitation of. This is some other purpose. It shouldn't be used. It should be used for the intended purpose, and then duration and so on. So when once the data is no longer needed for its intended purpose, then developers should adhere to these requests to respect the user privacy and autonomy. So एक बारी हम, I think we good to go. Next question. ठीक है, एक बारी you can read these things out actually. Okay. What is the most crucial aspect related to affect sensing? So user engagement with affective technology, maintaining the privacy, designing visually appealing interfaces, ensuring compatibility with different devices. So user engagement is an important aspect because ultimately you are designing these affective systems as a business, from a business perspective. ठीक है, it is important that people should be engaged with the platform or agent or robot. ठीक है, second is maintaining privacy. It is very very important, the most important aspect. ठीक है, then designing visually appealing interfaces. It is desired, but it is like not mandatory. Even if it is, your system is working fine, maybe interfaces can be improved over time, but the accuracy, the privacy concerns, they should be taken care of the first place. Okay, and ensuring compatibility with different devices, least concerning thing, because you want that this compatibility is desirable, but it is not mandatory. ठीक है, अगर एक चीज़ आईपैड के लिए बनी है, so it is not necessary that it should also work on my laptop or my mobile phone as well. I can use it on my iPad also. Same thing, I won't read this out, you can refer to this later. So privacy, why do we need privacy? So this is the most important aspect. Okay, what trade off do app designers face regarding effect sensing methods? So trade off का मतलब होता है कि we cannot achieve both the things at the same time, so you have to compromise. ठीक है, so this actually means the compromise. So आपको कौन सी चीज़ पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करना पड़ेगा? लेट्स से यू वांट टू बाय अ न्यू ड्रेस, सो यू वांट टू स्पेंड लेस मनी, बट देन यू वांट टू बाय गुड क्वालिटी. बट अगर आप ज़्यादा अच्छी क्वालिटी के यू वांट टू बाय, देन यू नीड टू स्पेंड मोर मनी, राइट? सो इट इज़ डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल, बट you need to compromise whether. So if you have low budget, you have to compromise on the quality. If you have if you like have low quality, then you can like get good pricing. So ultimately it's a trade off. You want to find something on a middle ground ki good quality, decent quality, maybe not the best quality, I will be fine with it, but then it should be under my within my budget. So that means you are compromising something. Okay, so in this case, when we talk about the affect systems, uh, what are the compromises that the app designers have to face? Balancing user engagement with privacy concerns, prioritizing data security over functionality, choosing between accuracy and privacy preservation, and enhancing emotion detection capabilities at the expense of user trust. Trust should never be broken. Then data security over functionality. Actually, security and functionality, they're not actually related, we can say, because it can be secure and functional. As many functionalities can be there at the same time. It's not like that one increases then other is decreasing. But if we talk about the accuracy and privacy preservation, so let's say there's a trade-off. Okay, so let's say you want to train a model which is um, which can also sense that based on age कि what content to display. ठीक है, अब एज के अकॉर्डिंग वो कर सकता है, बट फॉर दैट यू नीड टू ट्रेन, you need to also give the age related data. But let's say you don't want to give the age related data. ठीक है, so why do you why don't you want to go give the data? Because of privacy concerns कि अगर मैंने ज़्यादा data दे दिया, मतलब what the application is requiring, it's more of a additional requirement. ठीक है, so accuracy will increase if I increase the quality of the data, but the quality of the data उसमें अगर मुझे I need more details, then I have to compromise for the privacy part. ठीक है, so that is how accuracy versus privacy trade-off is there. So on one hand, designers aim for high accuracy in detecting users emotional states. ठीक है, it involves employing a sophisticated algorithm and data collection techniques to precisely interpret our emotions. ठीक है, but if we want to prioritize accuracy, it may come at the expense of user privacy. To achieve higher accuracy, we need to collect more detailed and sensitive data about users, such as facial expressions, voice recording, biometric information, but then it raises concerns about the potential misuse or unauthorized access to the personal data, which might lead to privacy breaches and ethical implications. So if we are prioritizing the privacy aspect, so let's say the data encryption is there, anonymization is there, ठीक है, यूज़र कंसेंट मैकेनिज्म टू प्रोटेक्ट सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन वगैरह. सो इट माइट affect the accuracy of the emotion detection because some data may not be available. ठीक है, if the gender data is not available or some your location data is not available, जो भी है, what is the use case, if you are hiding some kind of data, it is going to make, it might actually make the system less accurate. It's not hard and fast rule कि उससे कम ही होगी accuracy, but in some use cases this can be a trade off. ठीक है, so next question is, which of the options is correct but lack of diversity about lack of diversity in the team creating effective computing systems. So reduced team expenditure, अगर जो हमारी टीम है, द पीपल दैट आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द क्रिएशन ऑफ अ अफेक्टिव सिस्टम, तो उस टीम में क्या होना चाहिए, या फिर क्या, अगर लैक ऑफ डाइवर्सिटी है तो उससे क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा. इट विल रिड्यूस टीम एक्सपेंडिचर, अनरिलेटेड, राइट. इंक्रीज्ड एल्गोरिदम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, नो. इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ बायसेस इनटू द सिस्टम, yes. And enhanced transparency in decision making, this is also not correct. So let's see. Lack of diversity may lead to limited perspectives. अगर सारे ही अमेरिकन्स हैं उस टीम में and you are creating a product which will be you releasing, which will be releasing on a global level, that means कि आप अपनी टीम में global perspective नहीं लेके आ रहे हो. So that means they all come from similar backgrounds, so nobody is there to add on some information. They all will be thinking alike, right? So आपको diversity चाहिए अपनी टीम में, so it might not adequately address the varied emotional expressions and cultural nuances of different users. Let's say now you have a team where you have people from different countries, let's say Asia, Europe, you can have from different continents, है ना. So they can represent their culture, they can represent what is considered right or wrong in their cultures. So this is one thing. Second is, it can also introduce unintentional biases. So वो कैसे हो सकते हैं, because some team members are from similar backgrounds, lack of diversity, and they can unconsciously favor certain emotional expressions based on their own cultural norms or personal beliefs. ठीक है, so it can also influence the data collection, algorithm development, and user interface design, which might lead to unintended consequences for diverse user groups. So it might not work well for other cultures. Algorithmic bias can be there. So models can be biased towards certain gender, age, race, etc. To mitigate these issues, we want to build teams which have more number of people from different backgrounds as much as possible. Cultural diversity, gender diversity, so even age related diversity should be there. From every age group, people should be the representatives. So yeah, introduction. Okay, now the question was that what is correct about the lack of diversity. So team expenditure has nothing to do, not important. Increased algorithm complexities has nothing to do with team diversity. Introduction of biases, yes, they will introduce bias if the team is not diverse enough. Then enhanced transparency in decision making, uh, actually it is not going to be there if the lack of diversity is there. So it it can be achieved. Actually, transparency has nothing to do with the team diversity. Transparency is all about the ethical part. So no matter how many people are there from which backgrounds, you always have to take care of the enhanced transparency. You want to make the systems as transparent as possible. Okay, so it has nothing to do with that. I think 1 to 2 questions are left, so we're good to go after that. Okay, training labelers and testers in the effective computing system development process. Does it add to unnecessary cost? Makes the model more explainable? Adds to the diversity? Avoids biases? So, actually testing your systems and labeling, training the labelers training the labelers mean you're improving the quality of your training data, right? So training data, so good training data will good training data will lead to less bias, ठीक है, less biases. So it can avoid biases. Okay, why is transparency important in effective computing systems? To increase computational efficiency, to reduce algorithm complexity, to enhance user satisfaction, to enhance explainability. सो ट्रांसपेरेंसी का मतलब होता है इट शुड बी वेरी ट्रांसपेरेंट अबाउट द पॉलिसीज़, द डेटा यूसेज, कि कहाँ पे स्टोर होगा, कैसे हम इसको यूज़ करेंगे, कैसे क्या एक्वायर कर रहे हैं, एवरीथिंग. सो ट्रांसपेरेंसी इज़ टू एनहांस एक्सप्लेनेबिलिटी, टू रिड्यूस, ये तो नहीं है, टू इंक्रीज कॉम्पिटिशनल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी. नोबडी वांट्स टू इंक्रीज द कॉम्पिटिशनल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, ठीक है. सो इट एक्चुअली हेल्प्स टू इंक्रीज द अंडरस्टैंडेबिलिटी कि मॉडल कर क्या रहा है या सिस्टम क्या कर रहा है. देन इट इज़ also concerned with the accountability means that who will be responsible if something goes wrong, ठीक है, including designers, developers, regulator, to hold the system accountable for its actions or decisions. If errors or biases occurs, then who will be responsible? Transparency allows for easy identification of the root cause, ठीक है, facilitating the corrective measures and improvements to the system. Understandability we know, ठीक है. Ethical considerations are there, so if it is transparent then it is more ethically reliable. Then user empowerment, if it is transparent, you have mentioned each and everything very clearly, the user can be, you know, it can, the user can use the system or able to communicate with the system very easily, and they can make informed choices about their interactions, कि अगर वो record कर रहा है and if I don't want to release my data or make my, I don't want the like the system to record my data, then you can choose not to interact with that or interact in a certain way that you're not leaking that information, ठीक है. So they can always make decisions aligned with their preferences and values. Then it promotes user autonomy and agency in the digital environment. Then regulatory compliance, of course, if it is transparent, the everything is transparent, so it can strictly adhere to the legal requirements and regulatory standards as well. So ultimately the goal is explainability, because if it is transparent you can figure out where the error is coming from, or to understand the model better, understand the system better, and if something is going wrong then you can trace back. Now computational efficiency is actually, nobody wants undesirable. To reduce algorithmic complexity, it has nothing to do with the complexity. To enhance user satisfaction, it is a byproduct actually. User satisfaction is one thing, it is more concerned with the user experience, UI या UX या उस टाइप की चीज़ें, ठीक है. बट ट्रांसपेरेंसी is more concerned, more related with the explainability part. So what ethical concern arises when sourcing data from the internet to train our ML models? So देखो, we have a lot of data. We live in the era of big data, right? So big data can contain some kind of noisy data as well. Not everything which is there on internet is correct, and as I mentioned that the quality of your system or the model will be determined by the quality of the data that you're using to train it, training data, ठीक है, and even testing data as well. Whatever data you are using for your system, for the development of your system, that means it will ensure that the system is good quality or bad quality. Now when you are sourcing data from the internet to train these ML models, What ethical concern can be there? Computational complexity, data ownership and permissions, algorithm transparency, lack of diversity in the data set. So, sourcing the data from the internet can be, this ethical issue can be data ownership, because it can belong to different individuals, even organizations or entities. So, it is essential to determine who owns the data, क्योंकि कई बारी some data is not publicly available but it is still available. I mean you cannot just use it directly. ठीक है, उसके लाइसेंस लेना पड़ता है. There are so many things. So IP होता है, जैसे intellectual property rights, IPR, you cannot violate that. You cannot copy somebody's content. So plagiarism and everything. Then permissions, of course, some ignoring some permissions can result in legal and ethical complications, and copyright infringement or even breach of privacy. Let's say you use some YouTube video or in your personal video and you're using it for monetary benefits, so इसलिए वो YouTube पे बोलते हैं ना कि infringement का वो आ चुका है. That means you have copied content from some other person, so which is not allowed. So permissions, because sometimes we don't even know, so unintentionally सही we sometimes we copy या फिर use किसी का private data. Then the ethical use is there. We should respect the data ownership, and we should obtain the consent. So respect for individuals' right to privacy and control over their own data. And risk mitigation means that we want to like resolve, even avoid the risks associated. So clear documentation of data sources and permissions, it promotes transparency. But in if you're sourcing from internet, it is very difficult to trace back to the source, original source, because वो कहीं से भी घूम फिर के, even social media and everything, कहीं से भी owner, original owner का we cannot even trace back sometimes. ठीक है. So data ownership and permissions is the major issue. According to Barrett and others, what is the one major issue with using facial expressions as a window to emotion and affect sensing? So, is it lack of availability of facial expressions, limited reliability, excessive specificity, over generalization? So, facial expressions are not actually very consistent across different cultures. ठीक है. सो इसमें ये इशू आता है कि मे बी माई वे इन आर कल्चर, इन इंडियन कल्चर, समथिंग इज़ कंसिडर्ड फाइन बट इन अमेरिकन कल्चर इट माइट नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड फाइन, और वाइस वर्सा. So many things are there which might be considered okay in western cultures, but in Indian cultures it is not considered good. So expression of fear, let's say. So expression of fear, while some people may exhibit obvious facial cues such as widened eyes and raised eyebrows when experiencing fear, but others may not display these characteristics prominently. So ये person to person भी vary करता है. Even me and you, it will be very different for us to uh, you know to like, my way of expressing something is much different than yours. So now what, like, the system can be confused. So system will be confused, because what is the right way, what does actual happiness look like, because everybody is differently expressing it, so the system might be getting confused. Okay, this is actually a issue, because, and it is not actually limited to the facial expressions, in even voice or so. Some people tend to be more calm down, or some people tend to be more on the excited side when they are like, I'm very expressive, so it is quite possible that I might be mm, I might be like speaking very loud, but then the other person who is an introvert might be very, talking very slowly and in a low pitch. So yeah, issue is, let's say, if the problem is that only relying on this facial feature modality, again this same thing, that the amount of variations and everything needs to be taken care of, because everybody has their own way of expressing their emotions. So reliability, I mean, I don't find this very to be honest, this option is it right or wrong. But in that way you can say that reliability is affected because um, variation is there, so it might go wrong if it is not understanding properly the variations, so it might go wrong. Lack of availability is definitely not a concern. Overgeneralization is actually not there. Overgeneralization means that if a person is like smiling like this and if a person is like this, then you are categorizing in the same category. That is called overgeneralization. So I don't think this is the correct option. So limited reliability might be the correct option, but still not convinced. Anyways, what is the implication of lack of specificity in facial expression? Lack of specificity means like there is no particular definition for this. Same as previous question. Every person has their own way to express. Okay? So ultimately, what is the implication is unique mapping नहीं होती है, that is the issue. Second is consistent expression of emotions. Consistent नहीं होता, it is inconsistent. ठीक है. Second, third is activation of different facial muscles for different user. This is the problem because every person can express in a different manner. Fourth is high reliability in interpreting emotional states. This is also not achieved. We cannot be relying on the system because again another person will be coming, so you train your data on 100 people, then 101 people will person will come and then the system goes wrong, blank कि I don't know. ठीक है. So this is definitely wrong, this is wrong, and this is also wrong. So C option is correct. What is a challenge related to generalizability of facial expressions? Again, generalize नहीं कर पाते हैं. Consistent interpretation across cultures? No, it is actually inconsistent. Second is reliability? No. Third is effect of context and culture is not sufficiently documented. And fourth is lack of variability. Variability is actually very high, not lack of variability. So third option is correct here because this is एक्चुअली इनकन्सिस्टेंट. सबके वहाँ सेम नहीं होता है. एवरी कल्चर हैज़ देयर ओन वे. देन रिलायबिलिटी ऑफ फेशियल मसल? नो, नॉट रिलायबल. ठीक है. देन दिस इज़ करेक्ट. एंड लैक ऑफ वेरिएबिलिटी नहीं है, दिस इज़ एक्चुअली हाई वेरिएबिलिटी. ठीक है. So users trust and feel more comfortable with the app when there are explicit agreements and contracts. मतलब everything is documented. ठीक है. They are telling you each and everything कि हाँ ये contract है, ये agreement है, we are using this data like this, these are the terms and conditions. If you agree, only then proceed with. And now even if you don't read it out, but the app is providing you everything in description and in written and contractual basis, like in terms of a contract, which means they cannot breach the privacy. If they mention that we will not use this data for something else, then that means you have to protect the privacy of the end user. And if the company is found guilty of sharing the data, then the end user has the full rights to complain, take legal actions against the app or the stakeholders. ठीक है. So this gives you a feeling of comfort and trust to use that app. ठीक है. Because they have mentioned it is legally bound, they are legally bound to follow those things. So it enhances the transparency. There's informed consent. ठीक है. Trust building is there, legal protection is there. ठीक है. That is why it is very considered very good and you feel much more comfortable. Okay, so with this we come towards the end of this session, and this was the last session for this course. And I think on 26th you are having your exam, so good luck everyone for those who are attending the session and for those who will watch this video later. So I wish you all the best for the exams. And if you have any queries regarding the topic, so you can comment down on the YouTube videos so I can check it out and I can reply. Thank you so much, Shikha, for attending the session. And if you like want to go through the previous videos, they're also available on YouTube channel, and I also post this content, these slides, to a common shared folder. So I assume that the team has shared all with you. So again, I will end the session now, and thank you once again for joining.